Today the vehicle that we're going to be working on is a 2007 Jeep Commander. It's got the 5.7 liter Hemi in it. I want to show you how to gain access to the plugs as well as the coil packs. We'll start with showing you how to get the engine cover off, as well as the air inlet housing and the pipe. And then we've got a couple of extensions I like to use. I'll show you how I work that into getting the plugs out. Because there's a few areas where the clearance is kind of tight. You don't have 6 inches to drop an extension and a socket down in there. So I'll show you that. That works on just about any Hemi that you might come across when you're doing a tune-up. So go ahead and move on with it, and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, in order to get to the plugs and the coils, first thing we're going to do is get this cover off the top of the engine. It says Hemi. Once we get that off, we'll go ahead and get this air cleaner assembly off to the side so we got a little more easy access to it. So let me go ahead and walk you through step by step. The cover itself, it's not too hard. It's a matter of unpopping it and working it out. Get a little tight sometimes. Here we go. Now, we'll get to the band clamps that hold the air inlet to the throttle body. I'll loosen those. And then what I want to go ahead and do is just unclamp the upper portion of the air filter box. Take the crankcase hose off. And then we've got one 7mm bolt that holds the assembly down to the engine. Go ahead and get that. And we should have enough room to start getting to everything. Like I said, this air box assembly is not a necessity, but to me, give me a little more room. Plus, give me a chance to show you a little bit better shot of how to get to it. Now there's an air connector we got to disconnect. We got this side. Give me a place to rest my tools. Now we can actually get to the engine as far as the coil pack and the spark plug. And I'll show you a couple of steps I use. I'm not going to show you how to do all the plugs, but I can show you a basic step that works with each one of them. It is a Hemi, so it does have 16 spark plugs and 8 bolts. I'm going to be next to show you how to start working on them. We'll take one of them off, and then I'll show you the extensions I like to use in the socket. And then you can pretty much base it off of the rest off the same way as this one. And we'll move on to that. Alright, so we're going to pretty much work on this coil, which is the furthest forward on the passenger side. It's just easier for you to see. Just got to release the connector for the coil. The coil is actually held in place with two 10mm bolts. Go ahead and get that off. Now you don't have to take the bolts all the way out because they will come to where they're unthreaded from the valve cover, but stay inside the coils. They're just made that way so that way they don't fall out. So now we've got our 2 plugs. What I like to always use on a Hemi pretty much is I've got my spark plug socket. I've got a 1-inch extension and a 2-inch. And depending on where the clearance is on the passenger side, driver's side as I'm working around, some area gets a little more tight, some areas there's a lot more room. So what I'll do is sometimes I actually have to drop the socket down into the cylinder, the port for the plug. Then I'll probably drop down my 2-inch, and then I'll drop my 1-inch. And that gives me enough height to clear everything to get to it. And then when I go to take it out, because there's a lack of clearance on some of them, I'll take my 1-inch off, keep pulling it up, take my 2-inch off, keep pulling it up, pull my socket. That way, that setup will pretty much work on all 16. If you can get a longer one on and it's easy to get to, like on the 300s and the Chargers, so be it. On the trucks and vehicles like this Commander we've got here, it's just easier to go ahead and use your setup with your 1-inch, 2-inch, and your socket. And you can build it in any combination you want. It's just what helps you is when you're pulling up out of the hole, you start separating it so that you can get everything out, because majority of the time you don't have this much clearance outside of the port to get the whole assembly out. And once I've got it loosened, let's get my magnet get down in the hole and pull it out. Otherwise, it's just a process you're going to repeat pretty much 16 times. It's going to feel kind of repetitive at times, but just take your time, and it won't take too much of a, it won't be too much of a pain. It's something that you can do yourself, save a few bucks. And I pretty much appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for more.